Yes, we am looking out through the screened door, which is slightly open. Nice. Well, yeah. Why? August already.
Okay, go for it.
Is it 9 o'clock?
It is indeed.
Well, hey, good morning. And I'm sure there'll be some people joining us in progress. Welcome to the summer webinar. Today's topic is sway. And in the next hour, we'll be talking about some really interesting, I hope you'll join us if you haven't signed up, still join us, things you can do with PowerPoint. So with no further ado, we're going to start with sway. I'm going to swamp, if I can, this change presenter thing over to Raj. And I'm going to make Roger the presenter, and he's going to kind of lead us through this cool thing called sway, which is really a really cool thing.
Good morning, everybody. I am Roger, and that was Gene.
Yes, I forgot to say that. Well, I forget that sometimes, too. So.
And thank you for joining us. Trying to get my screens oriented here. Talk about Microsoft Sway. At some point here, I'm going to encourage you to download one of our only handout. If you look on your dashboard, you'll see the word handouts, and it is a fairly hefty document. And that's because I deliberately added some spaces. There's a 12-page review, kind of a guide to using Microsoft Sway, the title of which is Digital Storytelling with Microsoft Sway. So at some point you can click and download that. It is a Word document, and I'll be showing you it and taking us through it just a little bit as we go through the various things that Sway does, you can do with Sway, and probably really more importantly, your students can do with Sway. Sway is one of our tools in our Office 365 account, but it is also a free tool. You don't have to have Office 365 to even take advantage of Sway. Some of the other things that have to do with sharing it out and so on, certainly Office 365 is necessary. But this is the dashboard for Office 365 down here on mine anyway. Yours might present itself a little differently. Is the app Sway. Sway is a presentation tool. Up through just a few years ago, the main presentation tool we had by way of Microsoft was, of course, PowerPoint, which has grown and evolved and become a very full-featured presentation tool, greatly used throughout businesses and that kind of thing. And I'm sure you probably have used it in your classroom. Students have been acquainted with PowerPoint for a while, but with, say, this evolution, an easier tool, it comes at you from a couple of different directions, is this tool called Sway. It doesn't have all of the endless options, etc., the ribbons and so on that Gene's going to be giving you some tips on their use in the other webinar that we have going this morning on PowerPoint. Sway is a different tool, as I said. Now I want to take you into it, but you first of all obviously have to slide into Office 365. Gene, can you hit your mic there? I'm getting a lot of...
Really? I'm just sitting here. Okay, I will.
Is somebody else's mic on, perhaps? one of our attendees? Let's see. No. Okay. So here we are. Here is our office dashboard, and here is Sway. I'm going to, next though, however, I want to show you a little video that I hope, here we go. This is a YouTube video, and I'll show you where this came from, but this is kind of a little over 2-minute introduction to Sway. It's taken from a classroom in Seattle, and the teacher is talking about Sway, and you'll see some students working with Sway. This might give you a little better picture of it if you haven't seen anything about Sway or ever worked with it. I'm going to try to get it going here. Let's see. A couple of things I have to add. We haven't done a lot of showing the videos in the webinar. Here we go. I'm going to move it center stage. And again, this was uploaded, so it's taking a while to find itself, I guess. And I've got the tools here, so it'll start playing in a second, and you should see it as well as hear the sound. And as I say that, I'm doing it without much confidence here. But this is a digital storytelling resource with all of the new standards, Common Core, the ISTE standards for teachers and students. One of the, let's say 21st century skills is digital storytelling. So what we're finding is, and this has been used, I've used this in conjunction working with a teacher in the 2nd grade, and his students were able to create and share quick little presentations by way of using Sway and so on. I don't know what's going on here, Gene. It's just taking forever. Let me minimize this. Maybe it'll load up in the background. And what I'll do is show you where it came from. If you look at your handouts, you're not looking loading up the video. I am, and trying to share it out. But in your handouts, it's called Digital Storytelling with Microsoft Sway, and I'm going to load that up. It's downloading now and opening up. Here we go. I'm going to enable the editing so it's a little easier to look at.
Raj, we can't see that. We're still just seeing the screen, the YouTube.
See, you're seeing this. You can't see my document?
No, I think you're going to have to go up and go to show my screen.
It does say, yes, you're right. Beg your show my screen. Let's see. How's that?
That's better. Now we see it.
Okay, now we're looking at the Word document. The video that I'm attempting to show you is the one that is the square here. I embedded all of the videos. This is taken from Microsoft in Education series of videos, help screens, tutorials, and so on that I'll show you shortly about using Microsoft Sway. So what I simply did was I copy and pasted probably 95% of the text from the course that you would take. It's roughly a 1-hour course. You take it online, takes you through some videos, and gives you a nice thorough acquaintance with Microsoft Sway. The nice thing about doing the online course that way, of course, is that you can pause it, review it, and make sure you grasp what you're being told, especially if you haven't seen any of the Sway tools and features. So this is a Microsoft digital storytelling using Sway. The video trying to show you is this one here, and then it goes through some nice background information about the use of Sway, how it can be incorporated into OneNote, notebook pages, and so on. And all through this, you may be asking, or probably the question running in the back of your mind is, how can I use this in my class? You can use it certainly as a presentation tool yourself to your class as you're introducing subject matter, and much like you probably would with a PowerPoint. The other really nice thing is that if you are using Microsoft Office 365 with your students, you can share out all of these videos, and then of course they can complete their own. So here are some more of the videos. You'll see wherever you see this, if you download the document, if you download it on your internet connected laptop, you should be able to activate and see each one of these videos. And they take you through kind of a step-by-step creation of a sway and some of its various features, which are really pretty interesting. I think, and again, in contrast with PowerPoint, you're not going to have all of those, well, what you see up here, and you also will see in PowerPoint, an endless number of tabs and ribbons. Sway is a much simpler interface to work with. So here we're looking at, again, the document that you can download and print. Caution, it is 12 pages long. But I think you'll find it very useful, but it also mirrors everything that you get in the course that you take in Microsoft Educational Resources, Microsoft and Education Resources. Now we're back on my screen. I'm in my browser, in my Chrome browser. And if I have a tab here for all of the Microsoft and Education Resources that I've gone to and want to have at my disposal, working with Office 365 and so on. So I tried to bookmark just this one site, and I think I put that in the document itself. This would take you to this whole series of courses that Microsoft provides teachers in education, because it is Microsoft in Education, the Educator Center. And if you sign in, then you can take all of these various courses. If I signed in here, it may be, let's see if it takes me there. Yep, it asks me what account I want to use. So I'm going to sign in with my account. Here it says I've taken this course, which I did. In preparing, that's where I took all of the information from the course. You can see it does give you a little quiz. Gene, this is funny. Probably if you're at all familiar with Sway, you probably could take the quiz without the course. The very last question was what gave me, which stumped me. It didn't really stump me, I just guessed wrong. It says, how many people can you share a Sway to, or share a template to? And it gives some collection like 5, 10, unlimited, and so on. But this is a course that I used yesterday to base all of that information that, again, is in that handout that you can download. Okay, so let's go back to Sway. We have signed into Sway. If you were with us last week when we talked about forms, when we talked about working on Office 365, everything that you do is automatically saved in OneDrive in your Office 365 account. And there are a couple of ways that you can begin a Sway. Again, a Sway is, think of it, it's like a PowerPoint. It's a presentation tool. And these are all Sways that I've worked on up through and including yesterday. I looked at this just to see if it was something I wanted to share out. But very, very simple interface. Start a brand new Sway here. You can start from a document, which is really interesting. I'm going to show you that as well. And here are the different templates that you can use. In fact, down here, there is a link to many more templates that you can use. Just playing around with this will give you some idea of all the different features of a sway. So I'm going to go back to my sway. We're not going to select a template. I just want to show you the basic tool that you work with when you're creating a sway. So you click on create a new sway. Now it's opening up, and it's going to give me all of the features. If you remember forms, you get the same thing, a basic form, and then the storyline is what you're looking at all the way through. You're going to want to go back to that. Now we're looking at, okay, my story is going to begin here. So within each of these, they prefer these as cards. This is a headline card, and this is where you would begin, okay? And all of these are edit boxes, font boxes. So if I want to, let's just call this a demonstration sway, okay? So that's going to be text here. I'm going to select a background. So add a background image under the details tab. I'm just going to search images. Okay, suggested searches. This is a really nice feature of Sway. It really helps students make decisions, make choices. They don't have to do endless searches. So let's say it's going to be a demonstration, and it's going to look for some suggestions for a background. So is it a cooking demonstration, or is it that's funny, a political demonstration? Let's go with, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to stay with cooking. So I'm going to say add that. You can also go out and find videos, and you can also upload your own images if that is something that you are working on in class perhaps. And notice there's a nice little checkbox here. We're seeing more of this within Microsoft environment. We want Creative Commons only. In other words, images that are not copyright protected. So if this is a sway, perhaps maybe it's going to be shared out on your class webpage if you have one, or it's going to be transmitted in some way. You want to make sure that you have permission to do so. Again, if you want to include a video, notice here, you could include a video, and you could go out and select a video or actually do a search. So let's go back to our, let's say it's a cooking demonstration just for quick selection purposes, and it appears over here. One thing later on in working with a sway, I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, we're in the storyline. Let's get rid of this. I got to move something around here. Okay, I want to get rid of that box there. So here we are in our design. Let's play the sway. Well, we've got one card. Okay, let's play it and see what it looks like. So here is our title, demonstration, and the title appears superimposed over the image that we selected. Okay, so we go back into our edit mode. You'll notice a little tool here. This is mentioned later on in the downloaded document, but it has to do with focus points. Focus points dealing with the image that you selected. What is important for people to see, for the viewer of this sway to see in that image that you've selected? Do you want it to focus on maybe what the chef is focusing on, his cooking table? How do you want it to present? So the entire image, or you can choose where you want to focus on. Notice I'm clicking it. I want to focus on, I just want to focus on the chef. Okay. Now if I play that, the focus should be more on him. And you'll see, I don't know if that cropped it a little bit or not. So we start with our basic card. The green plus button is where you add to your story. So I click on plus. What do I want to add? Do I want to add another heading? Do I want to add just basically text? Do I want to add an image? Do we want to start creating what's called a stack, or do I want to upload something, maybe prior research that I have done in connection with this particular project that I'm working on, this presentation? Okay. If I just select text, is it a heading, or is it just pretty much straight line composition? Do I want to put in some media? This is interesting. In media, again, we come back to, it can be an image, it can be a video, it can be audio. You could embed images, you can embed objects from media, video, and so on. You could even embed a QR code, those kind of things, or upload something. The audio is interesting. If part of your project working with your students is to have their voice narrate maybe a particular slide in the SWADE or a particular card deck in the SWADE, you would click on the audio option. And notice here, add audio to the file. But over here, this is the key. Over here is the record button, in which you might have the text here, but you might also record the student, and the student could record himself reading the particular text. And again, you can emphasize, you can accent, you can do add bullet to the text if you want to add information there. You can also add a link out. If this is a SWADE that's going to be shared out to your class via file in Office 365 in a Teams environment or a group in Teams, you could add some instructions. This could be your voice as the teacher saying and instructing students on what to do next. Okay. You can also add an existing audio file. It could be, it might even be maybe a music and so on. So what you do is you go through the entire SWAY by adding one after the other decks. Again, here, what are we going to add? We're going to add, let's say, maybe another heading. Notice how they're starting to accumulate. And again, in each slide or each deck card that you add, you have those same options all the way through it to add components to the presentation. Now let's go back to, there's another option I want to show you, a SWAY. Let's go back into my collection of SWAYs, and let's see if oh, this is we did this as a demonstration last year when we had a professional development day, the Indigenous Peoples Day, Columbus Day, the Microsoft SWAY. And we were doing this by way of demonstration. Notice all of the cards and stacks here. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll give you some idea of what it looks like when it plays. So let's play the SWAY. Now that we're watching the SWAY, how does it move through itself? You know, in recall, of course, in PowerPoint, when you're working with a presentation, you click a play button. Well, with SWAY, you have either a left to right, actually basically to a right presentation, or using basically the arrow. I'm using the arrows on my keyboard, going through each deck at a time, each card at a time as it moves through the presentation. I'm going to change the orientation of this because you can also have it appear to go from sliding to the left from the right as it is prepared. So we're going to go back into the edit mode. We're going to go into the design phase. So I'm editing this, and I can change the settings for this sway. You do this when
Raj,
turn. Yes.
click on styles up at the top. Right at the top, that little palette. There you go. Right at the top.
Here, the horizontal and verticals. As I was mentioning, you could have it go from up and down to a horizontal. It's just a matter of, I don't know, what feels natural to you when you do the presentation. I think a lot of us like the vertical, horizontal, but if I change this vertical to the horizontal, if I change this, or we could just do simply one slide at a time, and again, all of the options here. What I was going through in not the styles, but in the themes, was how to change the background. So we go into, again, we're in the design phase here. Look at down here. Here's what I was looking for. These things. I can change the basic flavor of my entire presentation with a click. You can do this in PowerPoint as well. Notice here, what's missing is an introductory image, and where some of this information will be displayed over that basic introductory image. And then, of course, you can customize it. You can add and delete basic color changes. Notice how this changes your presentation with the style of the font, perhaps. And you can control all of that. To get going, I strongly suggest that basically you just simply follow the prompts of adding a tile at a time, or adding a card deck at a time. Play around with the different options. Notice here, again, you can add bullet numbers and so on. What we want to stay away from, and I think we've learned this over the years working with PowerPoint, is too much text. We would like the images, we would like maybe media, perhaps some background sounds to tell the story. We don't want bullet after bullet after bullet. Now, having said that, I'm going to go back to my sway, my main palette, and take you back here. And notice this is just a new blank canvas that you start working with. That gives you that first heading card, and then you start and build from there with the green plus button. What if you have given your class an assignment and they've done a little research, maybe they've written a composition or a story or done a little bit of research, and you want to turn that into a presentation? Well, we may want to start from a document. And this is kind of interesting. I'm going to close the one I want to close this. And I'm going to go and find my document on the desktop. You know what? It's not here. Here, maybe this might be it. It's taking a document. I did a quick research, Google search on Labor Day. So what happened then, it uploaded into Sway, and Sway took it and it started automatically, using some artificial intelligence, putting in it in a format that we don't really want. We don't want too much text, but what it did was it kind of looked at the topics, it looked at the heading breaks and said, okay, let's build in a starting point here. So we go back into our edit mode, and we'll look at the storyline. Notice what it did. It took well, pretty much a full one-page document and broke it up into sections that I had simply copied and pasted. So now what we do is we take each of the cards and let it do some searching for us. So we'll take a. So we've already taken the pressure off students to go ahead and create something. They have an idea. Let's take it from there and let the Sway go through and emphasize certain points and so on. So I want to emphasize headings. I want to emphasize, create some accents. Maybe you want to take out some of the text here. Enlarge the text. And let's concentrate basically on objects here where we can add suggested images. So when I click on, notice what happened here. I went over to images, click on suggested. Where would you like Sway to look for some suggestions? And you can even say, okay, let's look on YouTube. Let's look out on, do a search on some images and so on. So if we just, I would go through this and just pull off, delete some text to create maybe more of a visual presentation of how something becomes, let's say it's about how do we get federal holidays and so on, and look at some, here are some fun facts about Labor Day. Maybe concentrate on one of these and find an image that talks about Memorial Day or the 4th of July or one of the special holidays and so on. Go into the design feature. We can click as, well, we can change the style. We can customize it here. We can change how we want the presentation to scroll, either vertically or going from right to left, or individual styles and so on. Here's an interesting feature called remix here. If I say remix, it totally takes, uses some intelligence and changes, mixes all the slides. When you view a prepared Sway, notice this little button down here. This gives you a little outline of the design. Let's change it up, remix it. And it will go in and apply the different features across the board to all of your styles. Now if I want to play it, we're scrolling through it. I want to go back, go into edit mode, change how it looks here. And give it a different flavor. So there's a couple of ways to start this way. Let's go back into our storyline. You could start with a bold image. I'll go back to my prepared ones, previous ones. and look at some of the templates. Here's our demonstration. Okay, it's tracking both chronologically. What you most recently worked on will always appear in this list here. Templates. What you might do, perhaps for you have open house coming up, or starting the school year in September, all the schools have an open house, is maybe create a sway to show in the classroom when you get either students and parents coming in and say, look at a newsletter from last year, or create a little presentation that's kind of give an overview of the upcoming school year and so on. I want to go back into, I think I downloaded the document. I think I actually closed it out. I'm going to go back and probably re-download the handout. But each one of these is a template. Let's look at one that's a student report, probably more typical of what you might be doing. When you pull it up, this is available when you sign into your Office 365 Sway. Here are all of the templates, card decks. So again, this would just be filled out, and you can, students, depending on what their topic is, they can add a new image here, and then they can fill in the available text and so on. This is what it would look like. Again, this is a vertical orientation. So they change the text, change the images, and so on. One of the nice features of inserting images is you'll notice, I think it was down at the bottom here, this where it does the footnotes, a works cited, and so on, is it does help students understand the necessity of telling their readers or their viewers where they got certain information, where did they learn about this butterflies or this, etc. The second grade class I worked in previously with, they get a weekly reader from Scholastic. I think it was a little 4 or 6 page handout, and they're all topically oriented. So one of them had to do with endangered species, and all the students, they were asked to pick a animal and then examine its habitat and some information on where it is in the world and so on, and how long it's been endangered, and provide basic information with that. But they used absolutely a very basic template. The teacher had prepared the template with a couple of slides, a couple of decks for them to work on, and so fill in their own information, and they were able to share that with one another in their team environment in Office 365. So let's go back to the Sway, and I'm going to open up that handout again and take you through that just briefly. There we go. Each of the links here, I don't know if it'll, this is how to get into it initially. This is what I wanted to see. This is a sample newsletter. Let's see if it opens up for us. You notice the image is moving. Get rid of this. I'm moving through the sway itself. And this is an example, excuse me, in the handout. Another video that goes through a real quick, maybe 2 minutes, that would show you how to add captions on the sway. If we go into the edit mode, go all the way. If we go into the edit mode, let's take the one most recent one here. You can again, this is the demo. You can go into the tile here, and when you edit the, let's go add one at the edit tile. When you do a heading, that's where you add the image. Then over here, you start adding captions and things. Suggested here is the name of the course, the title, the date, and so on. So you can add these that overlay the image itself, course title, and so on for all of your information. So let's build another one from scratch. We'll go back into our demo. Again, these are heading cards. Click on any one of them, and you can drag and drop, and you can resort them, resort the order, and so on. If I want to insert, we looked at that, the audio file. Go here. The live deck that you're working on, I keep wanting to say slides because it's still thinking PowerPoint mode, is you click on the plus, and again, it asks you what type of a card you want to add to appear after this. When you start stacking them, these are related groups. If one slide has a number of related slides or bits of information within it, these would appear one on top of the other. I'd like to, if I could find a demonstration that shows how a stack would appear, it might make more sense to you. So we add the content here. We can add several images, and they appear one on top of the other. And when you go through the presentation, the images just kind of unfold as you go through them. There might be several images. Maybe if you're doing a presentation about a class project, your stack might include images of different groups within your class working on their part of the project as they work together.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I have one, Raj, if you want to see it real quickly.
That does a stack?
That is a stack.
Okay.
Then I can give it right back to you.
Okay. Let's, I'm changing it over to you. Okay.
Okay. I was just playing with a sway. This is one dealing with Niagara Falls, as you can see, the history and so forth and so on. And notice down below, see all these pictures here? It says group stack, and it has, I've dragged in a number of photos. And when you play it, I'm not sure. Oh, I think I went this way on it. And again, it ends up here. This is the stack that appears here. And as you click on it, you can flip back through the pictures. That's one version. Here's another one. If you click on this, you can then go to the version. Is this the kind of stack that you were talking about, Robert?
Yes, yes.
See how they're
I can't describe it as well as we can see it.
Yeah, it's a stack of photos that were right there. Yeah. So that is the stacking, and it's really easy to do. As Rod said, you just very quickly went down and created a new thing, the card that said stack, and it just, see, it says group stack, and you just drag I was dragging pictures in and created it just like that. Okay? Is that what you wanted?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, if you want to, shall I give it back or you want to just take it back? Sharing. All right, I got it right here.
Okay.
There you go.
I want to go back to our handout. And show you, this is students have collaborated. This is probably, obviously upper grades have collaborated on a project. Okay, you'll be able to look at all of these if you work your way through the handout. Okay. So down here are controls. If you were showing this on your smartboard, you have controls here as well. So this is a project that students have worked on. Backup notice here, they embedded a brief video. Let's see if that, okay. And you would be able to hear that. I don't think we'll hear it. I turned, and it shows them doing this procedure here. Okay. That's playing off the speakers on my computer here, okay. So the whole lot, these are all, well, notice they included 2 more videos here. This is really simply done using the insert tools that we're talking about. They didn't quite stack the videos, but they put a number of demonstrations in as they think are necessary to make their project more understandable to anybody working with it. Notice I'm going to go all the way to the end here. And at the end, they put in a works cited page and all their references and so on. And what's nice is when you create it within your Office 365 account, you could share, students can share to one another, and you could share out perhaps the instructions for it and so on. Let's go back to our handout. Again, all those links should work. Here is some other ideas for using Sway. If there's a presentation the school, your class is doing, maybe participating in a production for the school plays, and so on, different displays. These are all, I think, great uses for Sway. The grouping images, this is what Gene was, thank you, Gene, for finding it for me. An example of grouping images using those stacks of images and so on. another way, if secondary teachers, maybe a science teacher, can use Sway for a template for lab reports. And here are some of the tips that I mentioned briefly about changing the focus point in a photograph. I don't know that, oh, this just might show us how that's done. I think that takes us to a video here.
Create a digital story for you, letting you focus on content rather than format.
Again, these are all links in the handout,
Font, color scheme, layout, or the way pictures
giving you a little bit more of a how-to for doing each of these different, using styles and creating the layout in your Sway and so on. Gene, I'd like to turn it to see if anybody has any questions. It is a simple tool, but there's when you start digging down into it,
Yeah.
there are a number of features that you're going to want to take advantage of. What I strongly recommend is go through some of the templates, go through the handout, and look at the different functions and the different how-tos, how to create your own Sway. I'm going to go back here. Again, this is what when you sign into 365, this is what you're going to get. And pick a starting point, either a template or, again, just brand new, and start building with that green plus button and work your way through it.
Raj?
Yes.
Raj, may I interrupt? I just noticed something as we were going through that was of interest that kind of came up with PowerPoint some time ago. Could I just show you something that I found out that I'm not sure works, but it might be something of big interest too.
Okay, here, I'm turning it back in your direction.
Okay. Now, as you can see, first of all, Raj, you've been dealing with the online version of Sway. You may, as Raj said at the beginning of the show, download Sway. Anybody can download Sway. But I downloaded Sway as well. It doesn't come when you install the Office 365 products, but I downloaded Sway separately, and I found one very important or kind of interesting little addition that I didn't find in the online version. And right in the middle here, you notice this says create new, start from a document. Notice this start from a topic. Remember that, Raj?
Yes.
In PowerPoint. And you can do this, and I don't know if it's only built into the downloaded one or not.
I suspect it is.
Yeah, but this is something that you might want to use with your students too. And it creates, look at this. This is where I got most of mine. And notice this, it has all of this started. You can go in and add to it and so forth and so on. And look, I mean, this is, and it even has the references at the bottom. This is where I got the Sway Niagara, this, where was it? Niagara 1, basically, I believe was where I got that. That's not the first thing. You notice there it is. I just kind of built from that. I added things to it and took things away. Okay, so, but again, I am not sure if that's only in the downloaded version or not. But you might, I think it's well.
Obviously, I'm working on a district laptop, and that was not one of the options for the. And you went to basically you went to Sway.
I went to Microsoft.com. And
right.
Downloads. I think I went to Google and put like download Microsoft Sway. Went there and Microsoft.com and downloaded it. And this is there. That was there. I don't know. I haven't seen any updates or anything, so I think it's still available. But I think it's a great little addition because another one that I had. Oh boy, I don't even know where some of mine are because I've been going through so many of them. But I mean, you could go here and, for example, if you were a teacher, of lower grades, type in the, you're doing animal, create an outline for lions. Or an animal, if the kids each doing a different animal, you could go in and create, I know some of these words are pretty big, description, habitat, where just change it to where it lives, make your own, save it, and then give it to each student. He or she could do it with his or her animal. That was the one thing. Do we have an extra 5 minutes, Raj? Could show them one
I think
other.
we have exactly 5 minutes. Go
one
ahead.
other cool little thing, and you're going to say, Gene, that's not Sway. That's Microsoft Word. Okay, first of all, what I did, and I did this, Raj, I apologize. I did this while you were presenting. What I did was I did a little bit of research on Abraham Lincoln. Actually, what I did was using the reference thing here. I used the researcher guide here, which if you don't know about that, just go into Microsoft Word, click on references, go into research. But anyhow, I did, and this is very, very basic, very simple. And I took a couple pictures and a couple of things and did that, okay? And then File. Now, instead of Save As, notice down below there's a transform. Okay, I hit transform, and it says turning to a web page, but no, not a web page. I clicked one of the styles and hit transform, and I'm not sure if it's going to, how it's going to do this now. It went to Sway, and it changes it.
Oh, it did go to Sway, yeah.
It changes it into a Sway. Okay. All right, this is a very quick version of it. Let me go back and see if I can get back to my Sways, because I did save. Oh boy, it's not there now. You know what? I know what's happening is I have two accounts, and one's running on my Roadrunner, one's running on my other. But yeah, it takes it right into. It takes the document, and you can change a document into a Sway simply by using the file transform. And that works too. So that's another way that the students could be using Sway. And then they can go in, of course, and using a lot of the ways that Raj showed, adapt it and change it and remix it and have fun with it. I'm sorry, that's kind of a couple of little things that I thought might also add in. And so we've just about come to the hour, Raj.
Yeah, I did a quick thing. I was looking for that option to download I couldn't find it on my district laptop, the installed version. Okay. But I came across a quick article that kind of answers the question: why would you use Sway to make a presentation when PowerPoint already exists?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? So it talks about the short answer, obviously, is, from what you're seeing here, is that not all presentations are created equal, and they serve different purposes. What I'm intrigued with now is in Microsoft Word is, was that in references?
What I did was I just, are you talking about, oh boy, where am I now?
How you quickly got to the research,
I don't know.
A research tab in Microsoft Word.
Yeah, I went to the references and researcher. Clicked on that. And
okay.
It opened up.
We may not have that.
Oh my golly.
On the installed version of Word.
Are you
on our
me?
district laptops.
Oh,
it's got a number of, insert tables, manage resources.
Is that the online version you're using or the downloaded version?
No, it is the installed version.
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, because that is a terrific, and I mean, there's so much you can do. I think we talked about it before, and again, we're getting off of Sway, but over here, it also allows you to manage the sources by putting in the style of research. If you have children going to college, it's incredible.
That's that's what I'm looking at, but not the actual researcher.
Oh
Where you
dear.
can go in and
Yeah, because
search a topic.
it's right over here. Yeah, and on mine, and I don't think it's a relatively new one either. It's been around a while, so maybe we're going to have to look into that, Raj, and see if
It
perhaps
goes back, yeah. Let's say
it does
we
go
are
back
pretty
quite a
much
while,
up
and
to.
that would be useful in school in the school.
Yeah, we've made the request a number of times for
Hmm.
updates to get
Yeah,
ongoing updates as they improve these products. But yeah,
yeah, and again, okay, well, we've come to the end of the hour, and thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions, please let us know. If you haven't downloaded that digital storytelling with Microsoft Sway, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that existed, but I'm going to go through it too because I think it's a very good guideline as to learning how to use it, and I always
well,
learn
I took
more.
that right off the Microsoft in Education,
Yeah, and
the
I have
MIE
not seen that.
resources out of that course.
Yeah, I just got an email today that Microsoft in Education is being updated and reorganized a little bit and made more user friendly. So I haven't had a chance to go back, but I want to go back and take a look at that, and maybe we can talk
Yeah,
about that sometime too, about how.
I think that would be worth looking at closely.
Oh, sure, sure.
All of those
It's
resources.
kind of
Yeah.
a do-it-yourself thing. Okay. Hey, and with that, we'll say goodbye for now. Hopefully, if you're going to join us, got some fun things to do. PowerPoint. This is not a. This is hopefully fun things that you can do. You can show to your kids that you can do. It's not a how-to. So if you're available, join us in the next hour. Okay, that'll be like 10:30 to 11:30, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Perhaps we'll see you in a little while. Bye now.